Hi, Bob the Canadian here. Welcome to this English lesson about marriage. I'm here today with Jen the Canadian, my wife, and together we are going to try and teach you a few English words and phrases that you would use when talking about marriage. And at the same time, we're going to answer some questions that you submitted to us yesterday about us and about our marriage. Well, hey, welcome to this English lesson about marriage. I want to thank all of you that sent us questions. We will try to answer as many of them as possible as we go through this lesson. And as I answer each question and as Jen helps me to answer each question, we will try to teach you a little bit of English along the way. So, hey, the first set of questions that Jen and I are going to try and answer are questions about how we met, and how long we dated for before we got married. The first question is from Zabi Rico 35, and the question is how, when, and where did you meet? Over to you, Jen.
Okay, I met Bob when we were both at the same university. He was friends with my sister's boyfriend at the time, so through my sister and that connection we met. Yeah,
a few times, here and there.
Yeah.
We met here and there, and then eventually, did you ask me out or did I ask you out?
Well, Bob rode a motorcycle at the time, and I asked you for a ride.
That's right. That's how it all started. Question number 2 from Wan C. Hi, Jen. You are a lucky woman. You are a lucky woman. How did you know he was your type? So, how did you know I was your type?
Well, I think first I thought you were kind of cute. He was cute, and he was funny. He made me laugh. He just seemed like a nice guy. So I thought, hey, I'm gonna ask him out for a ride.
Yeah. I think I'm still kind of funny, but I try my best.
You still make me laugh.
I do. Yeah. In fact, we've been laughing quite a bit just trying to get this video started. Question number 3, Amanda Yap, how long were you together or dating before getting married? So I'm actually having trouble remembering this, but I think we dated for about 5 years. How long did we date? 4 years.
3
years. We dated for about 3 years. See, this is how it goes when you get older. You start to forget things. Deekshanch Pathak, hi Deekshanch, has the next question. What's the one thing that you liked the most about each other when you first met? Is it still the same after years of marriage? If not, what is it now? Do you want me to go first?
Yeah. Okay, you go.
That's a good
hard question.
It's a good question, though.
It's a great question.
Yeah. So I would say the same things that I liked about Jen then, I still like now. She's very beautiful. She's very intelligent. I think those were probably 2 of the things that I liked the most about her when I first met her. And then she's a very funny person, so she's just fun to be around. So I would say she was beautiful and intelligent, and then as I got to know her, I found out that she was pretty funny too. And those 3 things are still pretty important right now. So what about you, Jen?
Well, I already said what I first liked. You were funny.
Yes.
Bob was just a really nice guy. I just really had a sense that you were just a really nice guy and that you would be very kind to me. We had a lot of fun together. I thought you were funny too. And Bob was really hardworking. I like that. He was very responsible. You were a bit older than me, so maybe. Yeah. I don't know, but you still had these very trustworthy qualities that I liked, and I think you still have that.
Yeah. Thank you. So the next set of questions has to do with when we got married and our marriage in general. First question is from Rafael Guadalupe Ortiz Vasquez. I hope I said your name right. Is the word fiance used for both the man and the woman who are just engaged? So I'll answer this one. So when Jen and I got engaged, I proposed to Jen. So I asked her to marry me, and I gave her an engagement ring, and she said yes. That was nice of you. And then after that, you would say that Jen was my fiance, And Jen would also say that I was her fiance. So it is the same word for both the man and the woman. And you would then say that we were engaged. So there was a proposal. I gave Jen an engagement ring. She became my fiance. I became her fiance. And we were then engaged to be married.
This is my ring.
Oh, that is the ring. You can hold it right up to the camera. It might focus on it, but sometimes it doesn't actually see it.
Does that work?
Yeah, I think
so.
it's still focused on your face. Oh, well.
It doesn't fit
Yes.
anymore. It used to.
It used to. Kenny Fong has the next question. What things or gifts do guests give the bride and groom at a wedding? So on our wedding day, the day when you get married is called a wedding day. On our wedding day, people gave us many gifts. They gave us things to use in the kitchen. They gave us tools. What else did they give us?
At that time, it was a lot of just house stuff.
Yeah,
Tools, a lot like bed sheets, blankets,
a clock,
a lot of kitchen stuff,
a few lamps,
a
lot of kitchen stuff. So
Yeah.
that is a traditional gift for a younger couple getting married. You would give them things that they can use immediately in their apartment or in their house.
But don't you think now it's a lot more gift cards?
Yes, I
Money.
think people do give a lot more gift cards now so that the couple can go out and buy what they need later. Next question is from Carla. Do you remember your honeymoon? Do you remember our honeymoon?
I remember our honeymoon.
Yeah.
Yes, it wasn't very long.
No, I was already working. So I was on a break from school. We got married during a break, and then we went to Chicago. We went to the city of Chicago. The weather wasn't great, was it?
No.
No, it was very foggy. It wasn't actually super cold. It was kind of just miserable would be a good way to. The honeymoon was great. We enjoyed hanging out with each other and going out to restaurants and all that stuff. But the city itself was, kind of just. I just remember it being.
Chicago's a great place.
It's a great place.
Went at the wrong time and maybe not as prepared as we should have been to
Yes.
really embrace all that Chicago has.
Yeah, we'd like to go back someday.
Yeah.
Next question, Mr. Bauka says, I'm 30 now and single. At what age did you and Jen get married? Also, at what age in Canada do people normally get married? We got married in our 20s, so we were both in our 20s when we got married. But the age in Canada when people get married is slowly going up. It's probably late 20s, early 30s now when people normally get married. Next question, Mila Polk. We usually wear a ring on the right-hand finger, and when divorced, we wear the same ring on the left-hand finger. Do you have the same tradition? How long have you been married? We have been married for 46 years. Oh, congratulations. That is a long time. We wear a ring on the ring finger on our left hand.
This would be,
That's where,
it goes like this, right?
yes, if it fit.
I just have to get it resized, and once I started having kids, I think my joints expanded and they don't fit, and I just haven't gotten it
Yes.
redone.
Which
But-
is okay. Generally, farmers don't wear rings.
I
Did you
don't
know
think
that?
I would wear this while
Yeah.
I'm farming, anyways.
Because it gets dirty and it might get wrecked, those kinds of things. Let's see here. No, we do not have a tradition where you switch the ring if you are separated or divorced. We usually, if someone was to be divorced, they would just go their separate ways. Sharon has the next question. Hello, Bob and Jen. This topic caught my interest immediately because I'm recently married. Marrying someone who you love is wonderful, but somehow I feel a bit of fear that I may have lost a part of myself at the same time. Can you relate to this kind of feeling? If yes, how do you deal with it? If not, is there any advice for beginners like me? That's a deep question. That's a tough one.
When we got married, you had a job and I didn't. And I think our hardest years of being married were the first one, and there's a couple other in there, and I think I totally relate to what you say, that I thought I lost a bit. I left my university, I left my friends, I didn't have a job, I didn't know really what I was going to do. Like, I knew what I wanted to teach, but it was a really, I think, a difficult time. What helped me was I actually ended up getting a job, and then I was just really busy, and life got busy.
That was a good answer.
Is that a good answer?
Yeah,
I
think
don't
it's,
have
it's
a
good
lot
to be.
of advice.
It's good to be
though,
honest. Well, my advice would relate to what you said. That I think the first year of marriage can be really tough, and I think you need to work hard together as a couple to get through it. You're learning to live together. We disagreed on who got to use what drawer in the bathroom for our stuff. So, yes, it's always good to just be patient during those first years. Yes.
Time gets with time, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Next question from Abdirahman Mohammed. My question is, in Canada, who pays the dowry, men or women? So Generally in Canada, there is no dowry. What usually happens in Canada is the parents of the bride, so Jen's parents, and the parents of the groom, who were my parents at the time, each shared in the cost of the wedding celebration. Sometimes parents will give their children a gift, sometimes parents of the bride and the parents of the groom, but there's no traditional dowry in most Canadian weddings. There are still very traditional weddings in some circles where there might be, but generally it's just a celebration. Both sets of parents try to help pay for the celebration as much as they can. So, do you have anything to add to that one?
No.
Next question, Vitaly Smirnov. What is a common age to get married in Canada? Is it common to marry in a church? Do women sometimes ask a man to marry them? So common age, I think late 20s, early 30s, maybe even mid 30s at this point. People are definitely older.
But people get married all ages, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I think so.
It's just when you meet the right person, and then.
Yeah. And then, is it common to marry in a church? Yes, depending on your religion. Many people do have a church wedding.
There's a lot more, like even just outdoor weddings, and
yes.
Don't you think? I think that's changing a bit.
Yeah, and more weddings like at a hotel or another venue, for sure.
Yeah.
And do women sometimes ask a man to marry them? Yes. I think it's probably most common for a man to ask a woman, but it does happen the other way, I think. So the next questions are about whether we fight or not. First question is from Mahdi Al-Shamari. Who makes the big important decisions, and does Jen argue with you sometimes? I think it depends on what the important decision is. I think, first of all, we do argue. Jen doesn't just argue with me, I argue with Jen. We do argue sometimes, but I think over the years we've gotten pretty good at discussing instead of arguing. But I think the important decisions, it depends. If it's a farm decision about the flowers, Jen makes the decision. If it's whether we need a new van, we usually talk about something like that together. If it's a decision about how to, I'm just trying to think here, like, we talk about everything, pretty much.
Bob likes to talk.
Yeah. So I don't like making decisions without first seeing, even if I know what I want to do, we usually do discuss it, and I will try to win Jen over to my side of the argument. But generally, we share the decisions, I would say. Next question, Lazan Tamara. How do you communicate when you have a big disagreement over something? Yeah, that's a tricky one. First of all, we're not perfect. We are not a perfect couple. We do argue. We do sometimes disagree on things. And yes, so
I think that we have gotten more mature.
Yes.
So I think if you ask us this at the beginning of our marriage to now, I think that things are much more calmer when we disagree.
Yes.
I think that personally, I know I've matured a lot in how I respond to you.
Yeah. I know early when we disagreed, I would want to resolve everything quickly, but Jen likes to have a lot of time to think about things. And then usually now when we disagree, I know that Jen likes some time to think about things. And she usually then is just way more able to discuss things. Okay, next section, kids. First question is from Azat Azatov. Which of you decided to have so many children? That's a good question, because
I think we both always wanted 4.
Yes, and then we ended up with 5.
And then we had 1 more.
Yeah.
I love babies, so
yes.
I think I was quite happy having more babies.
Yeah, I think we both knew we were having more than 3 or 4 kids, because we both grew up in families where, I have 2 brothers and 2 sisters. Jen has a family that's a little bit bigger than that, actually. And that was normal for us, just to have brothers and sisters around. So for us, the idea of family was, mom, dad. I was going to say mom, dad, and a few kids, maybe 4 or 5. So we had 4. Things were going well, so we had 1 more. Next question is from Julia. Do all your children have the same character traits? No. They are all very different. They share some character traits for sure.
Yeah.
But no, they definitely don't have the same character traits. Siyun M says, is it a good thing to have a lot of kids around? Does it make it a little noisy? Yeah, sometimes it's noisy. I
It's noisy a lot.
I like it quiet, but whenever the kids are loud, usually I'm annoyed if they're loud, if I'm trying to get some work done, but then I try to remind myself that someday I'll be old and the house will be empty. So then I don't mind the noise as much. Next section, Jen, housework, chores, and jobs. This is from Boris Ray. Who cooks the most? Who does the housework? I guess Bob is a good man, so he doesn't let Jen do all the housework. So that's...
How do they know that?
I don't know. This is a tricky one because...
It depends. I think it depends what season we're in. So especially like August and September, for sure. But even more, anywhere from May to September, you do more cooking. I would say.
You're busy with the flowers, so the flower season's from April till October, then I do more. I do more of the cooking for sure. And then when we get to the October till about March or April, then we kind of switch roles. We both, like when the kids need to go somewhere, we both drive them if they need to go somewhere. Jen cleans the house more than me, but we do share that.
You don't do laundry.
I don't do laundry. No, I can do laundry, but I don't do laundry.
He just doesn't do it,
yeah.
Which is fine.
Yeah.
Actually, and our kids are old enough that it's like a family. We all have jobs.
We all do dishes after supper. Although sometimes I sneak out to finish editing a video.
You're just Bob's busy, so we have more people that can do the work. So Bob just does less right now because he's trying to teach as well as do a YouTube channel, and that's a lot of time. So that's
Thanks,
fine.
by the way. It's very helpful. So. Okay, next section is on work and hobbies. Question is from Yoli Trejo. What does Jen do for a living?
Well, I flower farm right now, and I'm a stay-at-home mom for part of the year. I used to teach, and then we just had some children, and it was just easier if one of us was home. And plus, I really loved farming already, so I continue. I just keep every year make my farm a little bit bigger.
And Helen says, were there any things, activities, plans, or dreams that you had to give up after getting married? Did you ever regret it? I remember Bob said once that, Jen, you were a teacher too. Also, I would like to ask Jen to participate in one more video to talk about and to show us all her beautiful flowers.
I'll do that in August.
We'll do that in August. That's a good thing.
I used to teach and I still miss it, but when my flower season isn't busy, I can substitute teach. So when a teacher calls in sick, I go in, and I love that. And then I still coach. I love coaching volleyball and playing volleyball.
The next section is on celebrations and anniversaries. Yafei Wang says, do you celebrate your anniversary every year, and who is responsible for planning the activity? We don't do anything crazy or amazing.
No.
We do try to go away without the kids, not for our anniversary necessarily, but we do try to go to Niagara Falls or somewhere else. We didn't go this year because of COVID-19. We do try to go on a date if it's our anniversary, even if it's just a simple go out quick for supper, but we don't do anything spectacular for that.
No, I think our favorite is dinner and walking around the mall.
Yeah.
I don't know not really shopping, but I like walking around looking at stuff.
Yeah. Next question from Connie. Where is the most unforgettable place you have ever been to with Jen? Oh, I guess that's for me, isn't it? I would say, so Jen had family that lived in British Columbia for a while, and we would go out to visit. And British Columbia is a province in Western Canada. It has mountains. It's right on the Pacific Ocean. Beautiful cities. So I really liked going there. We went about 2 or 3 times when we were a lot younger. I got to go skiing in the middle of the summer once because there was snow up on the mountain. So that would be my answer. Next question from Keeve Lau. Have you ever not bought any gifts for Jen for some important date like her birthday or anniversary? Jen and I don't actually give each other gifts. So I don't know. Is that...
I find it really hard to find a good gift for Bob. So I'm quite happy if he doesn't give me one, because then I feel like I don't need to give him one, and then the stress level is there's just no stress about it.
The kids do give us gifts, but we don't generally give each other gifts. Maybe we should do that more. Maybe I should give you gifts sometime. So the next questions are about the secret to a long marriage. And by the way, we don't know the secret, but we'll give you our advice as best as we can. Mustafa Bayrak asks, what makes a good spouse? Asya Chuchi says, what's the secret to keep the relationship successful? Stella Park, I want to ask you about the best way to maintain a good relationship with your wife. I have been married for 5 years. Sometimes I argue with my husband because of the trivial things. Please share your tips to keep a happy marriage. And Daniel Carmago, hi Bob, what advice would you and Jen give a newly married couple? Whew, those are some big questions. We answered some of these a little bit earlier on.
I think that, especially the last few years when you've been sick, and I think I learned that I need to put Bob first. Like if I take care of Bob, I think our marriage is happier. And I think it kind of goes back then, if I'm taking care of him, he feels like he's able to take care of me. And so instead of thinking of myself first and what I'm not getting or what I'm frustrated with, I think, well, what would make Bob's day better? How can I help him?
Yeah.
And for me, that has really helped. I feel like our relationship is if I am mature enough to do that. I don't think when I was in my 20s, I was always mature enough to look past myself and think about what you need.
I would agree, because I think the fact that you farm and that happens in the summer and I teach through the fall and winter and spring, that kind of moved us into this nice rhythm where you take care of me and then I take care of you. And I think that's been very helpful for us to have to think about the other person a lot. I don't think there is a big secret. I don't think Jen and I are always happy. We are happy a lot, but we are not always happy. I do think if you're looking for one secret, though, I would say it is what Jen said, putting the other person first, and then just valuing the marriage, like just making this commitment that you value being together and you want to be together. And sometimes I always put it this way, I just think about what it's going to be like when I'm old. And when I'm old, I really want to be with Jen. So if we're having a bad moment, I sometimes think, okay, I need to find a way to get through this bad moment, because when I'm 70, I really want to be with Jen. So, and yeah, the fact that I was, I guess, sick, I had heart surgery a couple years ago, and I'm a lot better now, by the way, 95% better. That really made Jen and I reflect and think a lot about what we meant to each other. So, next question from Ruben Nunez. This is about hobbies. We're switching to another section now. What hobbies do you both have in common? How have you brought up your children? I mean, are there many rules? How strict are you? We're pretty strict, I think. There's definitely,
think so?
I don't know. There's definitely rules. Okay, there's bedtimes. There's supper time. There's kids have to be at the table. They're not allowed to have their phones at the table when we have supper. They have to do their homework.
They have to help out in the house.
They have to do chores in the house, yeah. And then there was another part of the question here. We both read. I think that's one hobby we share. We both read, and we both like to, Jen and I both exercise. I walk primarily. Jen walks and does work out. So we do like to stay healthy, which is kind of a hobby. Yip and Bear, how do you keep a sense of freshness between each other since you have been married for such a long time? What do you think is the most effective way to maintain a good marriage? I don't know. In some ways, it's because we're already a boring old couple. We just really like hanging out together, so we're not always looking for ways to make things fresh. But
I think we are both quite comfortable doing nothing.
Yes.
Like, we live in the middle of nowhere, kind of, and we're very happy not doing a lot of stuff.
Yes.
Though I think it's important to, I don't know what the rules, so there's different rules, but like once a month or once every other month, go out on a date.
A date together,
I think that's really fun. And even if it's just go out for somewhere in another town and go for a walk and out for supper or ice cream or I like that.
Yeah, I do too. Last question about later in life. Learn American English with this guy. Hi, Brent. Thanks for the question. One day, all of the children will be out of the house. So that's called an empty nest in English, by the way. How do you and Jen envision your lives in that phase of marriage? We love our children.
I love my kids.
We love that they're growing up And we do some days look forward to them moving out. Most days we are just super happy they're here, but life does change. So I think we'll just visit our kids a lot. We might travel a little more. We have not traveled a lot. How do you see things changing?
I think I will. I know I put my thumbs up, but I will miss my kids. I love the stage we're at right now.
Yeah.
I love having them around the supper table. I love the noise in the house and the constant, there's always someone around. So I hope that they don't live too far away. I think that we will, as much as they want us, we'll visit them or have them over. And then I think we'll do, I'm not a huge traveler, but I do think there's some places that we have never been able to go to that we would like to go to. And then I think we'll still farm.
Yeah, definitely.
I think it's healthy to farm.
Yeah, we don't plan necessarily to retire. We would like to stay healthy. I would like to do YouTube for a very long time, and Jen would like to grow flowers for a very long time. So we will probably semi-retire someday, but not anytime soon.
No.
Well, hey, I'm just going to wrap this up. Thank you so much for watching this video. It was a little longer than expected. I'm not sure if you've made it all the way to the end here. Thank you, Jen, for being on the video with me. I'm Bob the Canadian. This was less of an English lesson and more of a time to just hang out with Jen and I. So thank you. Thanks for all your questions. Again, I do apologize that we only were able to answer a few. Imagine how long the video would be if we had answered 200 questions. It would have been hours long. So hopefully this was a benefit to you. And thanks again for watching. So bye.
Bye.